So my boy Aaron requested one of my para stories. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I started out as a para in 2015. My first assignment was at a school. It was a very dirty school. I was down in the dungeon with some great teachers, some kindergarten teachers. Those teachers were some of the best teachers I worked with because they all got along. They all helped each other. They were great teachers. First day I walk into the office, the secretary's there. I'm like, hi, I'm a new para, yada, yada, yada. She's like, yeah, the principal's here. She's going to talk to you guys or whatever. So the principal comes out the office. I'm like, hi, I'm introducing myself. Hi, I'm a new para, blah, 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 blah. She looks me up and down and walks away. So I look back at the secretary. The secretary looks at me and she's like, you can go down, blah, 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 telling me where to go. Okay, fine. All right, whatever. At that point in my head is like, I'm not going to ever speak to her again. I already spoke to you. You didn't speak. Whatever your problem was, it wasn't with me. That's fine. I ended up being, like I said, in the dungeon. I kept getting respiratory infections. I kept getting sick the whole time I was there, and I was only there for 6 months. Every month I had something going on with my respiratory system. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to be at this school anymore. And I just kept saying it, like, I don't want to be here, God. I don't want to be in this school anymore, because nobody wants to keep getting sick every month, having some kind of issue going on. In the school system, you have people that have been paras, you have people that have been teachers for a long time. So for the main paras, we call them head paras or main paras or seasoned paras. The seasoned para, there was one girl that they gave me, and she was like, I've dealt with a lot of kids all these years, but never anyone like this little girl. She was like, I think there's something more going on. I'm not going to say what she said she thought was going on, but she thought it was more than just a mental illness that the little girl had going on, because the little girl had a lot of stuff going on. So I ended up with her. I ended up with another little boy, and then I ended up with another little girl that they were like the hardest to deal with or whatever. But trying to give me the so-called hardest children, because you're trying to make my life miserable at work. And it's just like, only people that do things like that are people that are miserable, because they want you to be miserable as well. We get to the new year, and we have professional development days. We have so many of those days where we either go out or we stay in the classroom. That was one day that we had to stay in the classroom. I hear my name over the loudspeaker, and I'm like, it just annoyed me that they called me over the loudspeaker when they could have called the classroom phone. And they called me over the loudspeaker, but whatever. I guess I was getting called to the principal's office. So I get upstairs, and it was the vice principal, and I think the other lady was like a counselor or whatever she was. I can't really remember what she was. But she was annoying, and so was the vice principal. So we get there, and they're sitting at the desk next to each other. And they're like, oh, okay, there's a student that is going to be sent to another school. And they're talking all night, looking like thing one and thing two. So they're both like kind of like mimicking each other. And I'm just like, just get to the point. Like, what? Get to the point. The girl that was getting transferred to a different school, her mother I think she didn't like the principal or the nurse. So they were transferring her to a different school. I was not her para. Usually when a child is getting transferred to a different school, the para that child is with goes with that child. But they like that other para, so they wanted to keep her. So they were like, oh yeah, we're going to send you with her, blah, 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 blah. So let's say she was starting on Monday. They told me this on a Wednesday. And then they were like, you can start on Monday with her, or you can leave whatever the date was. And I turned around and I went in my bag and I took out a pen and a pencil. And I looked at them both and I said, how soon can I go? And they both looked at each other, just like thing one and thing two. And they looked back at me and they were like in shock that I took out my notepad, because I wanted to write down the date I was leaving, because I knew I was leaving sooner or later. I just didn't know when. I had already said, I don't want to be here. I'm ready to go. So I wanted to know the exact day. And when I wrote it, when I took out my pad and my pen, they looked at each other like, no, she didn't. Yes, I did. The day that I was supposed to leave, I told one of my pair of friends, I was like, yeah, I'm going to George Jefferson walk out of this place. And she was like, no, you're not. Because I knew on the cameras when we leave out, because they were always trying to track people's time, when we leave out, they could see us. So I did it on purpose because I knew they could see us. And she was like, you're not going to do it. And I was like, yeah, I am. So that's one of my many para stories. Talk to y'all later.